Traders. It's Paul from ukbitcoinblog.com. I'm going to do another update to my indicator I've been working on for jolly ages. This is the basis to a robot, actually. And so what I'm kind of going to do here is take you through some charts and show you the new update. So basically, the new update allows us to see more trades and specify trades that are interesting to take. So I'm going to give you a clue how I think it works best, and here we go. So basically we get pivots, that's these labels here, and then MACD entries. So it seems to me that, so for instance up here we've got a buy pivot, then a buy MACD, but it's also on a sell pivot, but also you don't want to take that because it's already in the top of that area, so it's already in the sell area. So we've got a sell pivot there, that's that label, followed by that little down arrow, that's a sell, goes down to here. Buy pivot, that's not a buy, there's no MACD change there. Okay, buy pivot, there's a buy because you've got a pivot followed by MACD crossing. Okay, can you take it? Bit risky because you're into an uptrend, because you're in a bit of a downtrend. However, it does seem to be turning around. Okay, you ignore the pivots that don't have a MACD confirmation. So here we go, sell pivot, sell MACD. Okay, and then we could stay in it because you could stay in it down to here and close your trade in this buy zone. Okay, let's just pick on this one. So here we've got lots of pivots going on, but the actual sell starts here. There's the sell pivot, there's the sell MACD, and you'll see that there's actually no pivots there at all. There's no MACD sell signals in the way, so it's just that one there. Buy pivot there, but then there's a sell pivot, and then there's a buy MACD, so that's not a trade. Sell pivot, sell MACD, yes, you could take that trade down to here. Buy pivot, buy MACD, straight up to here. So you can see that you've got some good trading opportunities. This is daily chart, of course you could use this on something else. Let's take UCG, sell pivot, buy pivot, sell MACD. So I actually wouldn't have taken that short because, well, it's a bit risky because you've got this buy pivot in there, so it's like, is there enough there to trade? So, but here you've got a buy pivot, then a buy MACD. There is room to trade, except you are already in the sell zone, so you've got to decide yourself. However, it looks like it's in an uptrend, so you could take that trade if you wanted to. I mean, it's not an exact science trading. So here, oh my goodness, this is Coinbase. I've not got enough information. Don't know, I actually traded on this. I really wish I hadn't, because I shouldn't have. Again, when you've got a wedge situation, this was actually in a wedge, but it's broken out of the small wedge that I plotted it yesterday. It's the original wedge that I was plotting months ago. But you've got a buy pivot, sell pivot, MACD, sell pivot, buy pivot, sell pivot, sell pivot, buy pivot. So, you know, not really tradable with this indicator. Okay, but when you've got a good trend going, okay, it's quite good at spotting it. So I am actually in a short on euro dollar, but that was before I did this indicator. I'd be looking for MACD to cross back down again really before entering it, and it hasn't yet. Not sure it will. Depends on how this afternoon goes really. But let's pick some other ones. I'm just going to pick some random ones that I've not looked at with a screener. Amazon, for instance. Buy pivot, buy MACD. In you go. Okay, that's your confirmation that you're in a buy. Sell pivot, sell MACD. It's a little one, isn't it? You're not going to get a lot out of that one. However, there is a sell pivot there. When the sell MACD hits, I'll be happy to take a short on that one. Okay, so you look for the pivot and then you look for the MACD confirmation. Again here, buy pivot, buy MACD, but look at where it is. Okay, buy pivot, buy MACD. As if it's in that sell zone, the blue upper band, you don't want to be buying it there. Okay, that's too late in the day. If you're buying it here, in anywhere here, you're okay, because you know you've got a sell MACD and it just goes down to here, and then you buy MACD and it just goes on and on and on up. So you've got to kind of decide, you've got to evaluate your risk reward basically and see whether you can actually take the trades. And also the other thing about Amazon, look at the pre-market's up, so I'd want to wait for the MACD to confirm it. There you go, buy pivot, buy MACD. So see the two, one confirms the other, and then you've got a long, but you are quite high. However, it is in quite a long uptrend, so you might go, well, I want to take buys because it's going up. I'm quite happy with that pivot of MACD, so I'll enter that sort of here, somewhere on this candle, or maybe the next candle, and it is kind of going up, but again, you are in the upper level. So to summarize, basically what we're looking for is we're looking for a pivot and a buy MACD following it. That label is the buy pivot, and that's the MACD following it. Or a sell pivot and a sell MACD following it. Now the problem is when you get something like this, you've got to make a decision because there's quite a lot. It's quite noisy, so you've got to decide whether or not you're going to go for it. Now you could actually do short-term trading on it, I suppose. So if we go back to euro dollar, because we're looking at that today at the moment, I'm in a trade on this. So euro dollar, for instance, there's your buy pivot there, followed by your buy MACD there, and then there's nothing else. You can see it just sits in the buy trend. You'll see all these labels and everything, these are pretty much invalid, because we waited for that pivot and the MACD confirmation is there. Pivot, MACD confirmation, that's a 15-minute chart. So if you want to trade 15 minutes, you can obviously with it. Let's look at Bitcoin. You've got a sell pivot. This is a bit of a mess, isn't it? You've got a sell pivot, a sell MACD, a sell pivot, buy MACD, sell buy because it's not going anywhere. You've got a sell pivot, then a nice sell MACD to follow it, and then you'd stay in it all the way down. Okay, on the 15-minute chart. So you could trade 15 minutes. I personally prefer to trade longer time frames. This is Credit Suisse. You can see that they had a buy pivot followed by a buy MACD up to here. So you can see it's buy sell zones, buy pivot, buy MACD up to there, and then you've got a sell pivot, a buy MACD, a sell MACD, which is basically you'd ignore that one, but you would not be keen on taking a long on this anyway because it's in a downtrend on the 15 minutes. So going for the daily chart, you've got a bit of a different picture. So you can either trade higher speed chart, high time frame charts with it, or low time frame charts. So all we're looking for is a pivot followed by a MACD signal in the right place. Okay, that's going to give you a good entry. So for instance, I'm just taking Verizon, for instance, buy, sell MACD, buy MACD. So you've got to say, well, it is in the buy zone, it's quite low, I can buy that. So that's it really. Thanks for watching. ukbitcoinblog.com. There's full details, everything. You can get the indicator there, add it to your trading view charts free of charge. Cheers.